So we will be opening for Mass this weekend, the 4th and the 5th of July. Our Mass is at our normal times of 5:30 on a Saturday, 10:30 on a Sunday, and an extra Mass at 9:15. And that Mass will be live streamed. I'll see whether we need that 9:15 Mass over the next few weeks as we see how numbers hold up at our other Mass times. So we'll arrive at church as we've been doing for private prayer to find that one door is banned to us on our arrival because it's a one-way system through the church. So we'll come in through the left-hand door, which is entrance only. Come up into the building. Now got a new push dispenser for hand sanitizer, though probably on Sunday we'll need the additional one down below just to get people through here as quickly as possible. We'll be opening church only about 10 minutes before Mass. I know in one sense that's going to make life more difficult. We've got to get everybody through in a fairly brief time, but it also means that people are inside the building for as little time as possible. We'll come in, we sanitize our hands, and at some point, either before the door, which is what I hope if the weather's okay, or just inside it, we'll ask you to give us your name and a phone number. This is for track and trace. Government are asking that anyone who's opening an establishment tries to make certain that if anybody did have COVID, we've got a way of contacting everybody who was at that particular Mass, maybe even sitting in that part of the building. If you're able to just bring a slip of paper with your name and your phone number on, that will be enough. We can just pop that into a basket or into a bag. We'll keep it for 21 days and then throw it away. We will also have a sheet of paper that one of the stewards can write your name down on if you've not brought that scrap of paper. So after you've sanitized your hands, you come into the church, and as when we were coming in for private prayer, the church remains one way. And what we're going to do, and this will be a little bit strange, is that we will fill up church from the far side, the side where Our Lady of Perpetual Help image is. So we come into church and we follow probably for the best the long way around. We'll make our way around the church, remembering if we're able to reverence the Blessed Sacrament with a genuflection as we pass before the tabernacle. And then it doesn't really matter too much, unless there are other people making their way, whether you go down this aisle here or the further aisle. We need probably to fill up from the back pew. Let's leave those chairs at the back for latecomers, if any. Now you'll see, whereas before we only had one tick in each of these pews, we now have two, because we're going to be sitting at 1 meter distance, because we are going to be wearing masks when we are here in church. I've put on the benches a rough idea of 1 meter distance. That's about halfway along the pew. So if you've got 2 individuals, you could sit one at each end. If you've got a couple, you can probably get a couple and an individual at the end. If you're not too substantially built, you might manage to get 2 couples, one at each end. Obviously, if you've got more people sitting at one end, then we have to accept that probably nobody can sit at the other. So we fill up from that back row here. We then fill up into this row here, and then this row here. And then when we come around, we then fill up into the longer pews. That's once again, that will be marked for 3 individuals. Probably be a bit tight if it was 3 couples, but a couple and 2 individuals ought to be okay. Obviously, if you've brought a child, which you're welcome to do if they're going to be able to understand social distancing, they also might fit with you. So we get 1, 2, 3 individuals, or maybe 2 couples and an individual, or a little family and 2 individuals. Going all the way back, 1, 2, 3 pews here. When these end pew, middle pew here on this side are filled, we then fill up on this side, and then eventually we would fill up on this far side. Now, given the numbers that I suspect we'll have, we may find that we don't even fill this side of the church by the confessional. Because obviously there is no Sunday obligation at the moment. You don't have to be here at church. It's obviously important that you keep the Sabbath day, the Sunday, holy in as many ways as you can, watching Mass, saying your prayers, doing the other things that you ought to be doing. But you don't have to be at church, especially not if you've got any health issues yourself or anybody in your family you're particularly concerned about. Obviously, if you have any symptoms of COVID, then don't come. If you've got an unexplained cough, if you started to lose your sense of taste, anything of those sort of symptoms, it is best you don't come. Don't put other people at risk. If we do have a reasonable number of people, I've moved the servers' pews back on each side. They're not the best of places to sit. Either one individual on each side or a family, smallish family, could fit into those. And also where the piety stall is, I've put 4 plastic chairs from the hall, and we could sit in there, either one individual at each end or a family across. If we were really, really crowded, and if the weather was in any way decent, we could even open up the main doors of the church and put chairs at the bottom of those steps. It would be slightly odd, but you probably would be able to hear reasonably well, you'll be able to see reasonably well, and you would be able to come in and make Holy Communion. Mass will be as brief as I reverently can make it. We're told we mustn't do any singing. I will omit the second reading from the epistles. It will just be the Old Testament reading, the psalm, a said Alleluia, and then the gospel. I'll preach very briefly. It'll be a struggle for me. Very, very brief intercessions, if any. No offertory procession. No sign of peace. Holy Communion will be given, this will be a little odd, it will be very odd for me and for you, right at the end of the Mass. So there'll be, I will make my Holy Communion. I will cleanse the chalice and leave the ciborium with the consecrated hosts on the altar. I'll say the post-communion prayer and give the blessing and the dismissal. And then everyone will need to move to the altar together. So even if you don't normally receive Holy Communion, even if you don't normally come for a blessing, even if you normally just stay where you are, we can't have people climbing over one another. So we'll start, and we'll get one of the stewards to help supervise this, with this first row here. And we'll move from here. Everybody will follow on. will move up, and it's going to look very strange, up to this table. And at this table, you will stand below the table, and I will stand on the far side of the table. And I have to hope I'm going to still be in shot. I will be extending my hand across the table to give you Holy Communion. You, hopefully on that far side, will be doing exactly the same thing. Your palms nice and flat, so I'm less likely to touch you. So extend your hands as far as possible. With your hands extended as far as possible, with my hand extended as far as possible, we're keeping a very good social distance. After you've received Holy Communion, you make your way from before the altar all the way around to in front of the image of Our Lady of Perpetual Help, around to the back of the church. And this is going to be very odd for all of us. Then straight out, sanitizing your hands and heading home. No need for a conversation outside. I can't be outside because I'm giving Holy Communion to others, but also because that's maybe the kind of time when we might be tempted to get closer to each other than is wise. So we make our way from before the altar, across, down, and round. Now that means that you need to pick up everything that you brought with you. Don't leave coats, handbags, prayer books, rosaries, or anything else behind when you come to make Holy Communion. We don't want people having to go back on themselves. We don't want people having to cross the path of others. If you do leave something inside church, I'm afraid you're going to have to wait until everybody else has left the building before a steward can come in to collect it for you. So this side will make their way all this row around, all that row around, the back row around. If there were people sitting in the piety stall, they will come up and round the middle. We will then start from this side, and we will start from this row. Everybody in this row starting from here at the end would all make their way around up to Holy Communion, and then they also would access, they would egress, they would leave the building past the image of Our Lady and out of that door, all the way across that back row. It is going to be very different. A silent Mass, a quick Mass, Mass with Holy Communion right at the end, Mass where you don't get a chance to have a word with the priest when you're leaving the church, or even a word probably with most of your friends as you leave the church. But at least we're together at Mass. We're together as the sacrifice is offered. We're together around his altar. And yes, it will be strange to receive Holy Communion distanced so far by that table. But at least we are able to make Holy Communion. If you usually receive Holy Communion on the tongue, the bishops are asking, please, at this time, that you don't. I know for some people this may be difficult, and it may be a decision you have to wrestle with, but that's what they are asking. If at the 5:30 or the 10:30 you are able to read, please let me know, and I will place a sheet here on the lectern, not the lectionary, just one sheet of paper there, and you will use that. And then please, if you remember, take it with you. I won't use that lectern. I'll put a lectern in front of my chair on the far side so that there's no chance of you touching this lectern and then me touching it or me having touched it and you having then touching it. If there are any servers at any of our masses, we'll put the bell somewhere towards the back of the church, make certain it's sanitised for you, and take it to your place and use it at the appropriate times. That would be kind and at least some connection with our normal state of things. There won't be any notices because I'm aware from having looked at my videos of Mass that my notices at the moment are going on a long time, like this video is going on a long time. And obviously we want to be in church for as short a time as possible. I may even stick up a video of notices if absolutely necessary. I'm trying to work out whether I need to print off a sheet with the Mass readings, because obviously they need to be taken away by you and destroyed. We can't use those again. And whether it really makes sense, as I'm emailing most of you a set of the notice sheets, to print those off as well, because there are additional things that people might touch and share. Any thoughts on that, get back to me. So, hopefully see some of you, but probably not most of you, this weekend. Don't come if you are at all anxious of your health or the health of those around you. Consider coming during the week, if that will be better, when numbers will be less. Our masses during the week at this time, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 o'clock, Tuesday and Thursday at 7 o'clock. Keep safe, keep healthy, keep faithful. May God be with you all.